Sonic the Hedgehog universe is known by its amalgam of heroes or its dark villains, who are somehow connected to Sonic either because they are allies or enemies, or just because Sonic crossed paths with them. However, Sonic also earned some rivals through these years, things that are completely normal until the 2024 takeover, an annual interaction that characters made to the fandom, where someone asked Sonic who is the biggest rival, and he mentioned some characters, and it was when I wondered, what could each rival represent? Before I begin with the list, I make it clear that rivalry means that two or more people who compete with each other to gain the same objective or for showing superiority to the other person. Sabo from the Lost World, Scourge from the Ashir comic, and Eggman are disqualified because they are considered enemies and they oppose Sonic's objective. Neither Silver because he was an enemy and later an ally. Now, let's begin. Here I talk about all the Sonic Metal versions. It could be the easiest rival to explain thanks to the last few years where many people wonder and fear if AI can overcome and replace us. Edman created Metal Sonic to show that machine can overcome living beings, or in this case, the original one, with a competence to show who is the best version. Also, Metal can have the best programmation and not need some necessities that living beings need, such as food or water. The reality is that Metal Sonic is far away to overcome Sonic, just because living beings are born without any programmation and having a spontaneity where the living being is capable of doing a trick up its sleeves at any time, with a mention that somehow robots do not have the same process that living beings could develop, achieving seeing that mistake that taking advantage. I ask you, do you think robots and AI will really overcome us, or they will always be somehow an inferior copies from the living beings? The explanation could be he's just a rival because both of them want to, but if we want to be more philosophical, or I don't know, I could say discipline versus spontaneity due to the echidna comes from a tribe with honor, habits, and fighting style. Meanwhile, Sonic is a free soul that is carried by what is happening in the moment, rather than resorting to tribal codes. It could also represent a fight between two important heroism roles, but just one is more recognized than the other one because of his action taken in that moment. However, I consider that rivalry is more inclined to see who is the best and how to improve as heroes. If Sonic is the fastest living being on Earth, sooner or later, the fastest living being in the air has to come out. And in Sonic Riders, we have him, Jet the Hawk. Jet proclaims himself as the fastest living being and challenges Sonic many times to see who is fastest, but in his specialty, the sky, which shouldn't be the case, since both of them should have a race in their area and see who is the faster. But I guess that Jet knows that hawks are only fast when they plummet, and he cannot fly at all. Without mention that he challenges Sonic's adaptability in any area, which makes him a great opponent. So many common points that he has with Sonic that he seems more like a living what if. But let's talk about each part. The first concept I could observe is very similar to Metal Sonic, but this time it is experiment versus nature. I mean, Shadow was created by humans while Sonic was by Mother Nature. So it's a competition to see who is better, the own nature versus the modified one to overcome nature. The second concept is more clear thanks to the third movie, which is what if Sonic only lived bad things since arrived on Earth? I mean, yes, he lives hidden, but the citizens never tried to do bad things while he lived as an anomaly. Even he got some fun with the crazy elder. When he started to live in Green Hills, everyone coexisted with him as another citizen. Even in the video game, he has and has a good reputation. However, Shadow only found hate in his whole life, being more a what if than a rivalry. Another one is more their values. Meanwhile, Sonic gives infinite second chances because he thinks people can become better versions of themselves. Shadow is a little more radical and he is on judge to decide who forgive and who not. Maybe judgment versus second chances? And the last one is because they want to. Yes, the same as Knuckles. Shadow can't deny it, but it's obvious that he likes his rivalry with Sonic because Sonic is one of the few ones that can fight with him at the same level, besides Knuckles and Silver. Without mentioning that control himself in Sonic X generation to not beat Sonic with his new powers. Before I tell the last rival, I would like to add two characters who are not 100% rivals, but they share an interesting point of view. They are Surge and Kid Tsunami, or just Kid, from IDW Comics. They are enemies, but as we can see in the latest comics, they can develop a rivalry to see who is better, the original one or the clone. Also, they can fit better with Shadow as what if because they have the concept what if Gerard had created Shadow as a living weapon for gun. From Sonic Racing, I included him because he was mentioned in the takeover as a rival by the same Sonic. So the rubber concept is technology. How the technology can overcome Sonic's speed as well as challenging his adaptability once more to any environment. In that case, it doesn't require his legs. And when will be the fastest living being in the water appear? And those are our Sonic rivals. Which is your favorite definitive Sonic rivals? Leave it in the comments. Follow me on my social network and see ya, Starlitos.